Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. That's a quote from Robert Collier, who was one of the first self-help authors. And it applies to success in IELTS. Good advice never dies. The point I'm making is that those who get a high score in IELTS are usually the students who are highly organised. The thing is, most IELTS students feel that they need to spend long hours in IELTS preparation just before the test arrives. But what if I told you that 15 minutes a day can dramatically improve your results? Keep watching and find out how to get ready for IELTS in only 15 minutes a day.
Hey there, IELTS warriors! Trials breakthrough and achieve success!
Hi there, my name's David Bourne and I am your coach from IELTS Breakthrough. If you've clicked on this video for the first time, thanks so much for looking at it. IELTS Breakthrough is a YouTube channel that helps you get a high score in IELTS so that you can study at an international university and progress in your career. IELTS Breakthrough helps you with general training, academic and even the life skills versions of IELTS. So of course make sure you subscribe and you have that notification button turned on. Let's get into this 15-minute a day habit then. Now the first thing is to explain why 15 minutes a day can have such an impact. The first thing is that 15 minutes a day is not too much. It is not a burden for you to do. This way you are more certain to complete those 15 minutes because you know it is an easy to do on your list. If it was 2 hours or 3 hours, it's much more likely that you might procrastinate or cancel that particular to-do item. The second reason is that it is a lot easier to fit into your life. I'm sure that you have many other things to do. You have other work commitments, family commitments, and so on and so on. The good news is that if you are only spending 15 minutes, it's a lot easier to find an appropriate time slot in your regular routine. And the last benefit of doing 15 minutes a day is that it trains your brain every day. And this is what really gives you the results in language learning. Learning a little bit, but every day. Consistent skill development can build powerful results. So the next question is, what do I do in those 15 minutes? Well, basically the idea is that you pick one or several of the micro skills. So let me tell you about the 6 micro skills that you can practice as part of your 15-minute preparation habit. Micro skill number 1 is to practice the speaking. Now for this you need to get some part 1 or part 2 questions that you are going to use. Once you get those questions, spend the first 2 or 3 minutes looking at them and brainstorming your answers. Just think about how you would answer the questions. And of course, if you want, you can write down any notes of the ideas that you get. The next thing you can do is to record your answer. So you actually say your answer, but don't just say it. Record it into your phone. Audio or video is fine. Step number 3 is spend 5 or 6 minutes listening and playing back the answer that you recorded. As you listen to your answer, think of these questions. Did I make any grammar mistakes? Can I improve my vocabulary? Even if you just have one answer to each of those questions, that's enough. You have found 2 points that you can improve on. And that's the last step. Spend another 5 minutes or so repeating your answer, but with those corrections in mind. Micro skill number 2 is about improving your reading skills. To do this, you will need something to read in English. You might want to take an article from The Economist magazine, National Geographic, or a news site like BBC. And of course, you can use any old IELTS test questions for reading as well. Once you have your text, of course, if you have questions, then you can read the text and get the answer. But there are some general questions that you can apply to any text. Here are the questions you can use. Question number 1. What is the main idea of each paragraph? Question number 2. What opinions are expressed in the article? Question number 3. What are 5 key pieces of information that the article shares? And as an added tip, if you want more questions, if you can get a digital version of the article, you can give it to one of your AI tools like ChatGPT and tell it to make some questions about the text that you can work on. Okay, micro skill number 3, let's go for the writing here. So this is a micro skill, and in this case you want to focus on just writing 1 paragraph only. And once again, you can use old IELTS questions if you want. But another good tip is to think of some opinions and write a paragraph in response to that opinion. For example, you could take questions like this. Do you think schools need to teach time management? Or do you think fast food is a big health problem? Once you have written your paragraph, then you need to reread it and check it for grammar and vocabulary. Again, remember, you're not trying to make a perfect paragraph here. You're just reviewing it to improve your skills of actually improving it a little bit. You don't need to produce a perfect paragraph to actually get a high score. So, micro skill number 4 is the other skill that we're missing. Of course, this is the listening skill. Now, this is perhaps the easiest micro skill to practice. All you need to do is to listen to about 10 minutes of an English language podcast and then write down 5 things that you heard from listening to that podcast. Now, don't listen for longer than 10 minutes because remember, the IELTS listening sections are only about 5 or 6 minutes long maximum, often less time than that. So listening for 20 or 25 minutes is just too much. Keep it to about 10 minutes. And again, if you want to check in more detail, you can also check the transcript of the podcast. Usually that's available. So we have the 4 micro skills, that is speaking, reading, writing and listening. Micro skill number 5 is to develop your vocabulary. In this practice session, you can go into your vocabulary list, or you can download a list from the internet, pick out 5 words, put them on your digital flashcard system, and then go through the flashcards to get those words into your working memory. Once you have learned them with flashcards, it's also a good idea to write a sentence for each of the vocabulary items that you have learned in that session. Now, micro skill number 6 is to do a review. With the speaking, you can redo the same questions, produce a new answer again. Again, with the reading, you can re-attempt the reading task. The same with the listening. This is a review, so listen to the same thing again and see what information you can write down. And then finally, with the writing, you can repeat your written paragraph and compare it with the one that you did in the other session. Now that we know those micro skills, we can put these into a 15-minute practice session. The first option for you is to go through these with a different micro skill every day. So you might do reading, then listening, then writing, then speaking, and then your review in day number 6. And of course, the reading, writing, listening, you can do them in any sequence that you want to. Day 7, you can have a rest, because it's always good to let your brain rest and absorb all of the information that you have been working on in the previous sessions. The other way to do this is to do more than one micro skill, but just kind of cut the process in half. For example, on one day you might do the reading and listening questions, and then on the other day you might look at your reading and listening performance. Or let's say with speaking, one day you might actually just record your answers, and then the next day you play back the recording and assess your performance on that speaking. That way just adds a little bit more variety, but of course you don't need so much variety because it's only 15 minutes, and I'm sure you can focus on one skill alone in 15 minutes. So there you have it. If you have found yourself delaying your IELTS preparation, doing a bit of procrastination, maybe this 15-minute habit will help you get over this. And remember, the more preparation you do, the better your result is going to be. You'll be surprised at how confident, organised and prepared you feel when you face the real IELTS test. So let me know in the comments, which 15-minute habit are you going to do today? And if you want more help on IELTS preparation, check out these videos right here, because there's lots of stuff on this channel on how to prepare for IELTS. It's absolutely crucial that you are well prepared. And I'll see you in the next video.